Welcome, it's Michelle Grant here, and today I will be creating a project for Arty. This one is called Follow Your Dreams, and we will be creating a beautiful background for cards or pages. So today we're creating a really super easy, effective background with just a few elements. So all I have used on this one is like a texture stencil, and I've used the rhythm from the Follow Your Dreams collection, and I have used the BU 100%, the 100% stencil from the Follow Your Dreams collection as well. So I've used that one, and I've just used lids and pens. Where's that pen? So I've used lids and pens. I'm going to be utilising those. I've also used some artist inks. So if you have artist inks, you can use those, or you can do the same effect with watercolour. Even your colour sprays, you'll be able to get your same effect with those. So just a liquid colour we're playing with this morning. What else have I used? Oh, a ruler, black and white pen, and just a little paintbrush. And I've also put either matte medium or transparent gesso on my background. So you can or you don't have to do that step. I've put matte medium on this one, and I've got transparent gesso on this background just to see the difference. Okay, and yes, I'm just trying to think if I've got everything, have I said everything. These stencils, and they're probably a couple of my favourites because they are so versatile and they go with everything. Put some colour down, and you want to, so this colour palette here, I've used a warm colour palette, so I've used pinks, orange and yellow. Might do a cool colour palette with this one. So I'm going to go, oh, do I want cool? Might add some sapphire colour spray, just to show that you can mix your colours. A little bit of mermaid, and I want a light blue. I really do have to clean up some of my mess. Just tracing one more colour. Oh, maybe green. That green might be the light colour I need. So I've got the lime and the mermaid in the artist inks, and I've got the sapphire in the colour spray, or you could use Calypso artist ink as well. Calypso, what's the other blue? Oasis, yeah, Calypso is the brighter blue. Okay, so all I have done to do this, if I can find, I've just used, this is one of my backings off the stamp. So just a bit of acetate, a bit of plastic, and I'm going to just drop some colours on there. And I'm sort of creating, this is just like a smooth scrapbooking paper I'm using at the moment. I don't know, I don't think this one's the Arty one, I think this is another one I had. And I have transparent gesso on the background, only a little bit, it's only really a fine coat of transparent gesso. So you can use it like a clear gesso or a matte medium. That just helps the inks and that move on the surface rather than sink in and grab straight away. looking for my spray that have run away. I only have 20 of them. And I'm just going to give that a spritz with some water. And you can see I'm not mixing my colours too much. They're not overlapping. The colours are beside each other. So I hope everyone can hear me okay. I didn't do a sound check before. And I'm just going to use my plastic to help spread that a little bit. And because I want this a lot lighter, and you can see I've like created like a little bit of a cross pattern through here. And because I want this a fair bit lighter, I'm going to water that down a bit more. So this technique will work better with your lighter colours. And you can see where I haven't put that paste on very thick. It's soaked through there. This one has like probably a smoother coat of the matte medium. So your transparent gesso has more tooth than a matte medium, so it's rougher. So I'm even going to let that one dry. And I'm going to, this is a watercolour paper that I've just made for a card. So I'm just going to open that up and we'll go. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I've got nothing on this though. Let's go green and yellow. And mermaid. So same thing, just going to wipe this off. How's everyone going this morning? Everyone's nice and fresh and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And I just want to take the excess off. And then you've got something else gorgeous to put into your journals. So just wanting like a little bit of colour in that background. As you can see there. I have another one here. I'm going to do another one with the matte medium on the back. I think that's what my problem is. My squeegee is a bit dirty. Hasn't been cleaned for a while. And using a squeegee to put on your matte medium, you get a really nice, fine, even coat that will dry quickly. So I prefer to put it on with some type of squeegee for that reason as well. Okay. Some of that ink off of there. So I'm just going to give this a quick zap. And I haven't gone right to the edges, I've just gone where I know I'm sort of going to be putting my ink. Okay, so this colouring I'm going to go more with the pink. If you're wanting your colours to be a lot more, say like this, separated and a lot more vibrant, do one colour, dry that, and then do another colour and dry that. So when you're putting all your colours together, you are going to get blends. So that's why you want like your analogous colour on a colour wheel. So any 3 colours together on the colour wheel will work together beautifully. And you just want to, if you want them brighter and more separate, just dry the colours in between. sponge with this one again. So your different papers will react differently as well, and that's because the inks are a dye ink. They do sort of soak into the paper if you're just using paper on its own. And they do dry lighter than what they look like wet. And I'm just taking off the excess just so it dries quicker and I can draw over it quicker. So we now have a few different backgrounds that we've done. So with the different colourings, it's going to take a while to dry. This one's watercolour paper's dried really quick, so I can probably start on that one. I'll give this one a quick dry and then we shall do the next step. So I just wanted to show you a quick and easy way that you could do something across all your different projects and see how your techniques can vary. So now utilising, so the pattern I'm utilising is this like a cross pattern. So wherever you're working, whether it's a card, so if I'm doing this card I might go that way and have my cross pattern going like that on this card. So it's like the cross design that we're working on. And I'm just going to use some of the Dina Wakley, is it a rice paper or tissue paper? Tissue sheets. And I'm just cutting out a few strips. And I'm going to put a couple onto my backgrounds. So I'm going to go that way on this one, that way on this one, and I'm just using my matte medium to put these down. Now the matte medium, especially with these inks still being so wet, it will reactivate the ink being a dye ink. But if I put it on quick and use my spreader, I'm not going to lift that colour. You can see how the colour's starting to bleed. And I just want to put a couple of pieces should have turned him around the other way. And let's put some over here. Changing my mind. So I'm having the torn edges go out so it's softer on the outer edges. And you can come over the whole page with that matte medium. It just adds a protective coat. And I like how it just sort of just adds a little glaze over everything as well. Okay, so that's that one done. And I'm going to put this one on. And I'm just sort of doing this one a little bit off center. My crosses is not like dead in the middle. They're sort of like sitting on the thirds. Okay, so you can see how that has reactivated that ink, but we still haven't lost our pattern in that background. That other one is still quite wet with the texture paste, so I think the matte medium was better than the transparent gesso. But when you're putting your matte mediums over your background, that's going to help strengthen your paper. So whatever cardstock you're using is going to help strengthen it. So I'm just going to dry this one. And using the squeegees and that, they dry quite quickly, except for I don't have enough over here. Didn't put enough on top of that one. And you can see it doesn't take long to dry when you're using your squeegee, because it just gives it a thinner layer. So I've just got a archival black ink, so any of your permanent black inks, and then I've used lids and like a measuring cup, pen, and I've just used the top and bottom to create some circle stamps. And remembering, when you're putting any of your elements and stamping any of your elements on, if you picture that you have a grid on the background, and say if I put one on this line and this line, I've got one here, try and sort of put them off center, so when you're putting elements down, the same things aren't all, so don't put a same size one there. I would put it probably even there, so it's not in line with that one, and that helps give you a more balanced overall look to your piece. So if you work in threes and work in like triangles, so you create a triangle with 3 pieces, and then create another triangle, and then using our lids, so now I'm going for, I've done 3, now I'm doing another 3 of this size. And then I'm using the end of my pen. Yeah, if you don't have some printed tissue paper and you've got some tissue papers, just use your stamp with an archival ink and stamp your pattern on there. So these Zig pens, if anyone's still got one of these old Zig Riders, the lid makes a brilliant stamp for a little circle. Okay, and then I'm going to do a couple this size, so the lid size. I'm going to do a couple of different sizes, so I'm going to do one about here, one about here, and you can do as many or as little as these as you like. Let's do one there, maybe. And so that's as easy as it is for the stamping our circles. If I can find where I just put the card. Okay, oh, there it is. I'm looking everywhere for that. So I'm going to do the same with this. And I'm not going to go the bigger ones because I've got a smaller area to cover. And I don't really need as many on this one. Okay, so that is how easy it is to do that step. Our next step is even easier. We're just going to use our ruler and a black pen, and all I'm doing is going to create some random little lines coming through and put a little arrow on the end of some. You can do a double line. You be careful there, Cat. Okay. You can do short ones and long ones. So you can see how just those extra little, they just little lines just add some interest. So I'm just doing a few on the card. And then next I'm going to be using my stamp on the lid with a blending brush. And then I'm just going to reinforce this T, but this T on the layout I've actually got on that third line, but then I've got two pieces coming out, this third here and this third here. So rather than put a thick line there, I've concentrated this line here and this line here. So if you picture your page is divided into thirds, those third lines are your focal points of a page. So if you're putting things on there, and if you're putting a focal point in any of those 4 points that cross over, that's the main focal point of any page. So this one here at the moment, this here is the focal point until I put something on there. But the eye is still drawn down to that corner there. Okay, so I have just used my Follow My Dreams, and I'm just creating some arrows and just using my blending brush and the Follow Your Dreams stencil, which I've just done upside down, but that doesn't matter. And let's do another one coming out here. You could use any of your inks for this step here, because we're not really putting a lot of colour or anything back over the top here. And I'm just going to put one going back out here, just to show you that reinforced sort of the third lines. And then I'm going to just use a little bit of this one here. If you wanted to, if you don't want to, what's the tape that I used yesterday? If you don't want to go past your design, just put a bit of tape over a section if you just want to use a little bit of a section. And if you want a straight line, which I shall put probably here, just use your ruler to give you a bit of a guide, and then you can keep going with your stamping, and then I'm just moving it up. So I'm creating a nice lined pattern. There then. And then over here I'm going to use the other one and do a smaller pattern coming down. Which that one wasn't very straight. So you can see the difference of doing a pencil line first makes to doing a nice straight line. And you can see how that's just reinforcing that pattern. I'm going to put a little bit more. Let's go the arrow down here. So you can see how that's just reinforced some of those patterns and that shape there then. And then from there, I'll quickly do the card. And because the card is so much smaller, I just reduce what I'm putting on there. Does anyone have any questions so far? So whenever you see a technique, especially mixed media techniques, don't be afraid to shrink or expand the ideas so that you can utilise them on anything. Let's go this one. Yeah, so if you've got any stencils that have just little bits of pattern and you want to create a line with, you can just easily use your ruler. And I'm going to put a little bit coming this way. Okay, this one I'm thinking it needs another circle here and another circle. Need a circle in between that size. Oh, look at that. That might be perfect. Yep, just the size I wanted. So then we have our little patterns on there and our lines, so on both of those. Next we are going to just add a couple of little soft stencil patterns, and I'm just sort of like running my thing along as a line. I don't want it too prominent or pronounced. I just want a couple of areas that have a little bit extra pattern coming out. So you can see how each layer that we've added has connected the layer underneath. So we've got that one on there. And it just adds a really nice subtle detail, because I haven't re-inked my brush. I've just used what ink was on there to give her a softer halo look. Okay, so we've got our two backgrounds. Lid, where did you go? There you are. And then it's just a matter of starting to bring in some pen work. So if you've got Poshka pens, awesome. So then ideally I like to, especially going with my white pen, I like to give this a chance to dry before I come in with my pen work, my pens. So with your dye inks, if they are still a bit damp, it will just change the colour of any white you put over the top. Because it is dye, it will keep soaking up through. If you want your whites to have a crisper finish, this has, remember when I put the matte medium over the whole lot, it's going to help the dye not come through as much. But if the ink is still a little bit damp, it will still soak up a little bit. Okay, so our next step is just our pen. So you can come in with your black pen and like do a few, see how I've got these circles here. I can, you know, finish off a couple, add a couple extra. Highlight a couple. And my pen work, I can come in and colour in a couple with the white. And as soon as you add your black and white pen, things just start popping. So I'm going to add some dots down here. Add some dots along here. Awesome. And you can see how even just adding those few dots on there, it's really starting to lift it. So you can completely go in with some more white circles. And to do like a loose white circle, hold the pen at the end and sort of just move your whole arm. And then we're going to, I'll just put some white on this one and black. You can see how you've got that just really pretty little design. I think I might just do a couple of white circles on this one. And then a couple of our bubbles we're going to make 3D. So I'm going to start with this one over here, and to get that 3D look, you can use your pencils, or you can use, if you've got like a darker ink, you can use the ink. And you just want to, yeah, as soon as you add the white on top, it just pops. So I'm just going to go with probably a bit of orange and a bit of yellow. So I just get a clean one. You just want to, the colour that you've got in behind the circle, you want a colour that's just going to like slightly off centre it, but even layering up the same colour is going to change it. If I'm using my ink, where's my brush go? I'm going to just water down some ink. So I've got a light brown, and pick where your light source is coming from. So I'm going to say all my light's coming from up here. So everything on that side going from that point is going to have a highlight, and everything on the opposite side is going to have a shadow, or your light source could be all coming from one way of a page. So say my light source is here, I'm going to create a little bit of depth on the inside of the bubble. Then I'm going to use the orange or the yellow. And see how it's just created a little bit more depth into that bubble there. So I'm going to pick a couple of others to do. Let's go with this one. So I'm going to put a bit more yellow over this one. And because it's not fully coloured behind, I'm just going to dab a bit back there. Let's pick this little guy. So I'm just working out what bubbles I'm going to pick to bubble at the moment. Let's do this one. And let's put another one here. So another circle. I might do that size circle. Where did I say? Here. I'll put some orange. So you can see how it's just sort of giving them a little bit more pop to that background. And then we come back in. So that top side, I want shadowed on the inside of the circle. That one's a bit much. So I've got my shadows happening. I think I want a little one down here. Might go that one. So once we've shadowed on that inside, done that one, I've done that one, that one. So I'm coming in with the walnut ink, or you can come in with a darker pencil, and I'm just on the outside of the circle, wherever I've got that highlight area on the inside, I just want to create a shadow on the bottom side, and I want to water that down a fair bit, so that's quite dark. So you're creating a shadow on the same side, or the opposite side to where the light source is coming from. And you don't want to go too wide with it. So I've got that paper a bit wet there, so it's bleeding a bit. I should be using a tissue, not a wet wipe, to dab. So I'm just using a little bit of water to blend it, to soften that edge. And our other ones up the top here. So we've got our shadows all in. I'll just give that a quick dry. And then we're going to put some highlights on our bubbles. And you can use a pencil to sort of work out where your highlights are going. So over that edge where we did that darker edge, just in from the edge, you're sort of creating a little bit of a highlight line. And then I might put a bit on the other side. And then I'll come in with my white pen. I can find it. It would bloody bite me. And it's just like every layer is connecting the layer below, and every step is connecting something. So then once we put a stronger catch light in there, you can see how they start looking like bubbles then on the surface. And that's how easy it is to do a 3D bubble. Looking at the screen, I do feel this one needs to be a bubble as well. So I'm going to, so you can see how I'm just looking at it and just thinking where does it need balancing. So I'm thinking it just needs a little bit down here. And because there's not a lot of colour down there, I don't want to make the colour as dark as those. I want that to be still quite light. I need to clean one of them. So I'm sort of like doing a little bit more hit and miss. So it's catching the reflex of the colour. So I've got the rust. Oh, I had the rust. The rust on the inside of the circle. And I had the walnut on the outside. And I'm just blending that line out with some water. Just to create that shadow. And then we've created some bubbles. Yes, we've still got, I've pretty much have shown all the techniques that I wanted to show. So I will recreate some bubbles on here. But then you can see how doing all this is some tags and some dies. So if you punch out a heap of dies, like this is a string die, honeycomb die, the bow chic die, if you just punch out a heap of dies, you can cluster up and like your tags and make your photo dies in clusters and then work out where it looks the best. And try and find others in my pile. There. So you can see how super easy that effect you can create with that. Down here. Like if I wanted to, this layout would work perfectly for a boy or a girl. So even just putting a boy cluster on there. So this is like the direct link. So these are all Arty dies. But all your different dies, and just some old tags. That's out of the Graffiti Grunge Boy Graffiti Grunge pack, those tags. And just by creating your photo clusters, you can easily do a layout. So that looks great as a boy or a girl page. So I really hope that this has helped you guys learn a few extra techniques. And as far as your art journal pages, you could easily recreate that into an art journal page. So you can do the same thing in your art journal pages. So I wanted to show you how you can take the different techniques that you learn with mixed media techniques. I wanted to show you how you can take them and just by shrinking and modifying those same techniques, you can transfer it from art journal, scrapbook layout and cards. So there's nothing to stop you modifying and shrinking every single design you see. Okay, but yeah, so we can go boy layout, girl layout, create a whole heap of clusters with whites and neutrals, and you can experiment with all your different backgrounds. So you might go, oh, I like that one on that background. So this one, all I would need to do is bring in a couple of papers to go in with that. So if I was to bring in even just a couple extra tags of something, if the cluster's not quite big enough for that page, bring in just another layer. So you can just keep building them up. Okay. And then with your cards, you can, I've got a little one in here. What have I got in here? Oh, look at that. Here's one I prepared earlier. It's just a die with a bit of paste on it. You could put that there with, where's my little tin gone? I got a phone charger, like metallic cable, Energizer phone charger, and it's perfect for all my little cutout words. So I'm going to decorate this one day too. So just putting let's go that one. So just putting a little die there and a happy birthday. There's a really simple, cute, easy card. That you can also do, and I haven't done the bubbles on that one yet, but you can envisage the extra bubbles on there. And I would probably bring some white dyes in here because it would pop out against that background a bit more. If I could put my hands on really, really quickly. But they're in a safe pile that I'm still sorting. Okay, so did anyone have any questions before we finish up? Awesome. So thank you again. And I can't wait to see what you guys do with these techniques. Thank you, beautiful people, and have an awesome day. I'll be thinking of yous all. See yous later. Bye.